right, this week's episode is quite different. It's about hats and my thoughts therein. My relationship with hats has been complicated. Growing up, my dad, great guy in a million ways, but had this sort of strong bias against hats, particularly of men wearing hats. I don't know where that came from. And he was also big about, like, if you were going to wear a hat, you had to take it off when you were inside, and all kinds of things with hats. I really don't know what the deal was. Also, when I was a teenager, I found, I want to say like a fedora or something when I was like 13 or 14. And I don't know why, but I bought it and I wore it, and somebody said I look like a dork. And so I stopped wearing it. I've never been like a person who wore like sports hats, like ball caps and things like that. It just, I don't know. Again, probably old ideas, buttons installed by parental forces of some sort. But I've just never been somebody that's done that. And I kind of got a big dome, let's face it. So it's difficult to find a hat that works. But at the same time, a lot of that stuff is just purely rooted in this sort of like, if you wear a hat, you look like a dork and you're inappropriate inside, or some weird thing like that. Back in the day, I had one hat that I felt like I could wear, and it was only for very specific things. And it's this hat, which is kind of like an Australian bush hat of some sort. It's a Billabong hat, and I bought it at the beach in probably like 1990, maybe earlier than that. This hat, I wore it on the beach, or I've made several trips to Israel over the years to do archaeological digs, and this is my chosen protective sun hat for all of those kinds of events. And this is a great hat, and I feel comfortable wearing it in those kinds of settings. Like Katrina and I are going to take a trip this summer, and we're going to go out to Idaho and participate in kind of a YouTube geology tour kind of thing, and with some other folks. And I will bring this hat and I will wear it, because you need hats to protect you from when you're out all day in the sun. This is a great hat for that purpose. Am I going to wear this hat to work, to somebody's wedding? No, I'm not. Am I going to wear it just around town? No. I am not psychologically healthy enough to do that. But as you can see, it is very beat up, and I kind of like it that way. This is the first hat that I really felt like I could wear and be comfortable in, but in those particular settings. How do you go about buying a hat? I watched a video from Adam Savage about his hat collection, which is massive, his journey of explaining that. And it's like, first off, you got to buy something that works for you, and it's got to fit. Don't go cheap. These are some things that he talked about, was get something decent and get something that fits, and make sure that it fits. And you can buy hats online, and they give you like a way to measure your head. And the don't go cheap part is obvious. If you buy something cheap, the results are going to be cheap. They're probably not going to be as precise about their measurements and the materials they use, and the hat could just fall apart or something like that. And you want to wear something that looks nice and that you feel good about. So a couple years ago, I started to think about a hat like this, which is, I don't know, maybe I would just, I'm sure there's a name for it. Does it say? It does not. This hat is kind of sort of like an Indiana Jones hat, but not quite like that one. But I thought, I want to buy a hat. And so I had to rattle that around in my head for about 3 months before I actually did it. And this happens a lot. It's sort of this internal combat between the old voices in my brain who are like, you're going to look like an idiot if you wear that hat, and everybody's going to think it's stupid. versus like, but I just want to buy a hat and I really don't care what people think. Like those are newer voices. The older ones sometimes win. In this particular case, the newer voices did win, and I bought this hat. And I got it online, and they, it showed up really quick. I was really excited about it. And it works, I like it. Now, here's the thing about it. It took me a while just to get used to it. And this is something that Adam Savage talks about too, is like, at first I bought the hat and I was like, oh my God, it's all the old voices came back. And I'm like, this looks dumb. I'm not comfortable wearing this, la, 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 la. And so I ended up just wearing it. I was like, I have to go to this kind of a workshop thing that we were leading, and it was business casual-ish, maybe. Not everybody was going to be dressed up like that. And so I kind of dressed up a little bit, and I wore this hat. And everybody complimented me on it. Wow, who thought? It took me a while to even get used to the idea of wearing it in public, and then I would wear it more often in public. I don't wear it all the time because it's kind of hot, so it's something more for fall, winter, spring type situation. But it's nice, something different, just something stylistically a little bit different. So it takes a minute to get used to the idea of wearing a hat, and then you have to wear it, and then you get comfortable with it. At first it feels weird, it takes a couple months, and then you're like, okay, I can wear hats now. And that's kind of where I'm at. I'm gonna finish this up with a quote from my daughter who said, I wore the hat to something where she was, both my kids actually, and she said, surprisingly, I don't hate it. And that's really high praise from her. So we'll just leave it at that. You know what? People surprisingly will not hate you or the hat itself or your look if you get a hat. Hope that that brings a little levity to your day and maybe reassures you that you too can get a hat. Good luck with that journey, and we'll talk to you soon. Thanks.